chipped teeth, cracked teeth, missing teeth. I'm doing a lot more than I would do out in the field. Okay, it's even worse than I thought. Well, yeah, duh. Today, we are going to get into the starters. These guys seem to be working just fine. We haven't had any issues with them on the boat, but I know they've both been exposed to some salt spray, and on the outside, they don't look great. They're showing some rust, some corrosion, not bad. You can see the label on this one still in great shape. But since we have everything out, it's a great time to go through them, clean them out, make sure there's nothing bad inside. So if we need to buy a new one, we can order it now and get it done. Otherwise, we clean them up, lube them, and put them back in.
I'm Jerry.
I'm Sean, and this is our not currently sailing catamaran, Rome. We've taken on a huge refit involving every system on the boat, turning her into exactly what we want.
Let's jump back into the episode to see what project we're tackling this time.
So we start out, there are two long bolts that go through the whole thing. Actually, I'm just going to loosen them first. I won't pull them all the way out to start. All right, so those are loose. They came loose pretty easily. I'll take this one off, and that will release the wire that goes to the brushes. So this is what really powers the thing and makes it go and turns the motor inside. I'll leave those guys in place. They're all really similar. You can find a lot of great material on YouTube about how they go together, what goes in them. And the parts that get replaced on these when they fail are pretty much the same thing, right? It's your starter solenoid, and we'll tear this apart, show you what happens inside. It's the brushes under here, or the brush container with this wire that comes back. This whole thing gets replaced as one underneath. And the case, this outside ring that has the magnets on it, that's the field that generate the field. So we'll get through those. The parts to rebuild one of these are really cheap. And so when you go buy a new one, the Yanmar version of this is anywhere from $400 to $800. The aftermarket version that Yanmar sells, that is still sold by Yanmar, can be had in the US for like $280. I've bought starters a lot for $100, $150, so who knows. But at the end of the day, the parts that go into this are probably $50 worth of parts when you do a rebuild. So it really is crazy money to go buy a new one. However, time, right, is another factor here. So we're gonna get into this, tear it apart, and see what all the pieces are. On this side, we have a couple smaller bolts that hold the solenoid in place. I will also break those free because I know I'm gonna have to get in there. One, two, pretty simple. Okay. These two screws hold the brush plate to the cover. I will take those off right away because we want that cover to come off without trying to take the brush plate with it. And when I say brush plate, that'll make a ton of sense in just a second. When you're doing this the first time, it's a really good idea to take lots of pictures, make video, lay out the parts really carefully so you know exactly what goes where, because the order of putting them back together and how they all fit together is complicated enough that if you don't do that and you don't know how they go back together, you will have a hard time, guaranteed. This cover will come off, and that leaves the brush plate behind, and that will stay attached. I won't take that out, or I won't take this plate off, but I'll pull this guy and pull the rotor out as well. This whole piece is what generates the power in the motor. Electrical current runs through there. Inside the cover, the housing, there are all these magnets, and that generates a field inside and causes the thing to spin. Now, if you look at this as a package, this is the motor, and this is the starter assembly. This is a really small electric motor, but you think a diesel engine needs a big electric starter. It's a little tiny electric motor. All right, so we'll set these guys aside, and I'm gonna leave this in place right now. This is the gear reduction assembly. And to get all this apart, I'm gonna pop these two bolts out here, and that will release the solenoid. There's also a spring in here that's pushing the solenoid off, and so it fights just a little bit. There we go. All right, now it gets interesting. When it comes apart, you have to be careful. You won't lose anything really, but putting it back together, it's important to know how it came apart and get all the pieces lined up right. So with this solenoid out, I can take the gear reduction unit out. A lot of people won't do this. I'm going to. If you look at the inside, you can see the gears are pretty dirty. There needs to be grease in there, and there is some grease, but I'm going to clean the whole thing up, re-grease it, and reassemble so that it's nice and pretty. All right, I'm going to just tip this over and smack it, and the whole thing comes out. There's the housing. Here's the gear reduction assembly. This little arm, you want to make sure and keep control of it. It is designed to come off just like this, but what you'll notice is that it could also go on like this and it might get confusing, and you want to make sure that you put it on correctly when you put it together. It's just important to recognize on this one, this little drop goes toward the big gear down here, and that's how you put it back together. Because this is all going to come apart to get cleaned. This cover comes off. Inside we have the gear reduction system. That all comes out. I have a little spacer washer seal of some kind in here. I'll take that out. It's in great shape. All of this is going to get cleaned up and made pretty. I'm not going to disassemble any further than this. Next up, we're going to take the gear assembly pieces over to the parts washer and get the oil and grease off of them so that we have a clean starting point. The solvent in this tank is just straight kerosene. Nothing special, nothing fancy. I could do more with a little bit of acetone and ATF if I wanted to, or I could buy a special solvent for it, but I find that, straight kerosene works great. Gasoline works really well too, but talk about flammable vapors coming off a surface like this. A good way to blow yourself up. And that is what we're after. It takes a minute and it comes out so nice. So now that I've got the gear assembly cleaned up with kerosene, I'm going to hit it with a little bit of brake cleaner to get any oil residue off of it. Then I'll give it a good inspection, make sure everything looks good, and then we'll set it aside and start cleaning up the other pieces. I'm looking for chipped teeth, cracked teeth, missing teeth, but this looks like it's in really good shape. I don't see any issues at all. Don't even see really any wear on the teeth at all. I suspect that both of these starters were replaced at some point, and that these, not original equipment, and so they've had less than 4,000 hours or 4,700 hours, however many hours on the engine. So that's good, but it's still a good idea. We'll go through them, make them happy. You wonder, how long does a starter motor last? It's interesting because you think, oh, the engine's old, it's got a lot of hours on it, but how many times has it been started? And it really is the number of starts. I don't know what the mean time between failures is. 4,700 hours is half the life of the engine. I would think that under normal circumstances, a starter might last that long. These aren't normal circumstances. You're in a marine environment, salt air, in this case, salt water spray in the engine compartment. And we see a lot of issues on the engines where they were exposed to salt more than they should have been. And that probably decreases the life quite a bit. I'm listening to the bearings inside, making sure that I can hear them rattling around. They're going to get greased, but right now what I want is for them to be loose. I don't know what an expected life is. It'd be an interesting one to look up. I wonder if Hitachi publishes that data or if they keep it, super secret squirrel. If you know what secret squirrel is, leave a comment below. Tell me just how old you are. Are you as old as I am? Now on to some cleany. Brake clean on this little seal. Should clean it right up. We got 3 planetary gears, outer gear, and a seal. Let's get into this guy. I don't know what this is called, but I will carefully separate the little spring, and I will leave them oriented without turning the orientation so I can get them back together without messing that up, because otherwise I know full well I would, end up flipping it around and not know how to get it back together, and then I'd have to take the other starter apart to figure it out. In case you're wondering, having a second one on hand that isn't disassembled at the same time is a great tool to keep you safe and let you put things back together, not just have to buy a new one. Okay, so everything's still facing the right way. All right, let's get the old grease cleaned out of here. I could put this whole thing in the parts cleaner and rinse it out with kerosene. It ends up being a lot more work if you're not going to disassemble it completely to do that, because then you've got to work on making sure you get all the kerosene out before you put it back together and grease it. And I don't really want to do that. I don't think I need to do that. This is in pretty good condition, so I will just give it a very good wipe. I'll move on to the solenoid, a one-way electric motor. Basically, this guy will get pulled in, I think, to actuate this guy, right? So that will engage this gear. It sits like this, and when it's time to start the engine, you hit the button, and this gets shoved out to the end, and this engages the flywheel to turn the motor over and over and over. It moves freely, which is nice. But again, I'm going to get in, replace the grease, clean it all up, make sure that it's very happy. So this spring is just in a couple of holes right here and here. And it has this little plate. I'm not sure what the purpose of that plate is, but they put it in there from the factory, so I make sure and put it back in. I don't want to have extra parts. And a spring. And that's it. All right, well, I think it's time to move on to the wire wheel and clean up the nastiness. So we'll reposition a little bit and yeah. Normally a person might use a bench grinder with a wire wheel on it. It's one more tool that I didn't buy. You should be very proud of me. I resisted the urge to buy a bench grinder. Instead, I just got wire wheels and put them on the drill press, which also, I know, a drill press, I know. I have to keep a pretty good grip on this, otherwise it'll take off and fly across the room. So the inside of the cap, sitting on top of the brushes, tends to collect carbon. And I've already knocked a bunch of it out here. And this little pile of dust is literally just carbon off of the carbon brushes. So those are the conductors that get the electricity into the spinning rotor. All right, on to the next part. That's got a little pitting. I don't love that. So these little guys, oddly, are brushes. If you don't know what that, it's a little carbon block. It's held down with a spring, and it makes contact on that shiny copper surface. And when electricity is put through it, and there's a magnetic field around this from the housing, it makes this thing spin. And these spin, and it wears the carbon down. And eventually, these things will become short enough that the spring can't really do anything. These are designed really, I think, quite well. And it looks to me like the spring is going to be able to push it quite a ways down inside and use most of this carbon block so that this brush will go well down inside before it wears out. So that won't be the failure mode. These wires could fail. It could come unsoldered from this block up here. It's common for this one to fail. And you see we've got some corrosion on this already. So that's not an uncommon fail. But typically this whole assembly gets replaced as one piece. So the pigtail, the brushes, all of this, and it just comes off with this little clip right here. And then the whole thing slides off. You slide the new one on and away you go. In terms of spare parts, you'd keep a brush head like this guy, a spare housing with the magnets inside, and our good friend, where'd he go? The solenoid. Keep those three and you can fix pretty much everything that goes wrong with your starter. If you're, game enough to get into it and actually have some idea how to do it. But you can do it. Okay, so reassembly. We're cleaned up, we're semi-organized, and we can start putting stuff back together. I think I'm going to start with the solenoid because that makes the most sense to me. The spring goes back in, the piston goes back in. Don't forget the little shim for whatever its purpose is. We line up the holes. All right, so that's that. Then I think we're on to the gear reduction assembly. Before I put them all in, I'm going to add some grease. I want this to be extra smooth. Isn't that lovely? I will add a little grease down here. I'll add some grease down here to the gears. That comes in contact with the gear ring on the flywheel. That will spread itself out very nicely. So this guy needs lube in this channel so that it can rotate smoothly without wearing a whole bunch, but it doesn't need much. All right, now it's complicated. This guy has to drop in here. I have to line up the holes in this so the bolts can go through. This has to be lined up over here, and it has to be lined up with a solenoid. I take the little rubber plug that goes in here, and I try to force it in there. How do I do that? I do it the right way, it works just fine, I bet. Maybe I have to take this cap off to do it. There we go. The little shim here, I have upside down, it seems, because the bolt holes weren't exposed. That will be a lot better. Now I bet the bolt threads. Look at that. Threads like it's supposed to. We're almost done. Attaching the housing back on, there's a little tiny nub right here that aligns the housing with the frame. And on the frame, there's a little area right here that's raised up that has a little groove in it. We line those up, and now we know we have the housing lined up the way it's supposed to be. We line up the dust shield with the notch, and it drops in and the magnets suck it down. A couple of screws and a couple of bolts later, and we're wiping our hands off and looking for a beer. All right, isn't that pretty? And there are no extra parts. Which, you know, I don't know about you, but when I take something apart, put it back together, and don't have spare parts when I'm done, I count that a win. Yeah, that's a starter back together. So we do 2 of these. We're gonna buy a spare, so we have a spare starter, and I'm gonna find the parts, right? The solenoid, the housing, and the brush head to have as spares on the boat, so that when we're out, we've got a hot spare we can drop right in, and then I've got to rebuild so that I have a spare sitting in standby if we need it. Thanks for coming along on this ride.